Hey, Kent, you're the expert in covering Washington, getting in the weeds in terms of small business. Let's talk about the new makeups of the committees. It looks like we're going to have 2 new chairs. Let's start on the House side. Stephen Chabot out of Ohio. I don't know much about him. What's it going to look like?
I think it's going to be, he's going to support the SBA's, primary programs and support SBA lending. He's not going to try to upset the apple cart there. He's kind of a traditional pro-business Republican, more of the old-style Republican versus a Tea Party firebrand. So I don't think he's going to look to shake things up that much.
My feel is these guys want to be chairman of a committee. They like to be called Mr. Chairman.
Right.
And if they go out and they eviscerate the flagship program, they're not going to be able to chair a committee.
Right.
What do you think of it? Is that?
Yeah, exactly. He's been around for a while. He was a member of the Small Business Committee for years, and then he was briefly out of Congress, and then he came back. And I think he's pretty, his Ohio delegation. I don't know his personal relationship with John Boehner, but I would think he's probably pretty close with Boehner. And so, yeah, so I think they're going to be in sync as to hey, it's not good politics to go after the SBA.
Let's talk about the Senate. We all thought it was going to be James Risch, senator out of Idaho, who's reelected. We reported this morning it looks like it's David Vitter. Are we right?
You might be. I checked it out with somebody, and they had heard it was a member of a small business organization, and they had heard from somebody from Louisiana, one of their members, who said, yeah, they think that Vitter, that they've heard from Vitter that he was going to do that.
Vitter, pro, is he a fan of the SBA? What do you think?
Again, I don't think he's going to go after the SBA. I think the core SBA lending programs, I think he's going to support. I know he was very critical of their disaster loan program after Katrina, just like Lander was. So I'm sure he's going to have some close questions about that to make sure that the SBA has got their act together on that. But as far as the other programs, I think he'll be pretty supportive.
Kent, in the 2012 election, small business was played up by both sides. If you did a poll or approval rating of America's Main Street entrepreneurs, probably off the charts, one of the highest groups that we like. After the election, seemed other things took over. Do you see a change for positive for America's small business with these election results?
In a sense, because I think that on certain items such as the tax extenders, one that's very important to small business is the higher limit on Section 179 expensing. The House wanted to make it permanent. The Senate version of the tax extender bills doesn't make it permanent. Maybe there's a chance they'll go ahead and make that higher limit permanent. There's a very good chance that I assume they will at least do some of the tax extenders in the lame duck, because a lot of them are really important to a lot of people, like the R&D tax credit. But I would think Section 179, the higher limit, I think that will pass, especially with
yeah, and that could be a win for both sides. So that's hopefully right. That would happen. What about, let's get in the weeds. What if this 504 refinance thing, SBA 504
I think that's
numbers,
dead. I don't think. I think it's been dead for the past couple of years. I think.
Well, it has been.
Well, it has. Yeah, it hasn't. Exactly, it hasn't happened. I think for Republicans, it still smacks of a stimulus bill program.
Okay.
And I think at this point, I think the economy is doing well enough, and real estate is doing a lot better. That I think I think the Republicans would just have a sense of, come on, let's just go back to the way things were.
Yeah, it's too bad. 504 numbers are down, unfortunately. So
yeah, I noticed that. I mean, I knew they were, and then I looked at the numbers today because the SBA put out a press release saying that last year was a record year for SBA lending. It's actually not. I asked them to explain that, because 2011, it's still not quite up to 2011, which was the record year, but it's the second best year. But anyway, but I did note that 504, it's it's lower than it's been since 2009. Yeah.
But 7A is up.
Right.
And SBA has a huge commitment to microfinance,
right.
and
yeah, the loans under 150,000 were up like 20-something%.
Yeah, from that standpoint. Well, very good. Tell me your sense in Washington in terms of I get a lot of mixed signals in terms of how small business is reacting to the economy, reacting to healthcare, reacting to a lot of things. From your perch, from yours, do you sense that we're definitely out of the trough, but how much optimistic or pessimistic do you see Main Street entrepreneurs?
They're up and down, it seems, on the end. I think they still don't have, real confidence that, it's full speed ahead. NFIB, their monthly report's going to come out next week, but they went ahead and released some of their job info about, small business hiring, and there was no net gain in jobs this past month. And Bill Dunkelberg, their chief economist, basically said they just lack a sense of clear direction as to, whether it is time to go ahead and expand or whether they still need to be careful.
I do know from the SBA lenders I talked to, competition is heating up for that sector. There's a lot of loans there's a lot, in terms of supply and demand, it seems there's a lot of supply and too few demand. Do you see that as well? Yeah,
I see that. I mean, maybe some small businesses will call me up and say, "What the hell are you talking about?" But I think if you've got a good, good credit rating and, good history of paying your bills and good cash flow, you ought to be able to get a loan right now. You might not like all the terms necessarily, but I think credit's available. Of course, it's the old cliche, if you don't need a loan, you can always get one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We got 2 minutes left. We're going to start the webinar on top of the hour. What other stories are you covering for small business?
Well, obviously healthcare reform. I mean, that's going to be one of the issues going forward. There'll probably be, with the Republicans controlling the Senate, they're definitely going to at least tweak it, and so it'll just be about a matter of how much President Obama can accept as far as changes to the law, like medical device tax that probably get repealed. Maybe they'll change this definition of full-time worker from 30 hours back up, to 40 hours, that kind of thing. Individual mandate, McConnell says he wants to repeal that, but Obama basically yesterday said no way. So
that's not going to happen, right? Do you see that? I mean, we hear a lot. Is that really a critical issue for the Main Street entrepreneur, or is that number 9 or number 10? I have a sense.
Yeah, it's. I mean, health insurance has always been expensive, and it always goes up every year. It's still expensive, and it's still going up every year. Maybe the exchanges are helping a little. We'll see if this next round goes smoother than the other. But I don't think it's as bad of an impact as a lot of the politicians, the Republicans, say. But I don't think it's like an incredible benefit for small businesses either. It's somewhere in the
Yeah. I think it's I tend to minimize it. It's an issue, but I think it's more of a mosquito bite. Annoying. But there's a lot more pressing issues in terms of how to keep the doors open and how.
Right. And it's just sucked up a lot of the oxygen.
Right.
And it's kind of taken.
Hey, Kent, I really enjoyed you joining us. Kent Hoover, the Washington Bureau Chief for America's City Business Journals. I enjoyed the conversation. Let's say you come back later.
Thank you, Bob. Anytime.